I've been a paying ActiveCampaign customer since 2019, and it's given me the tools to grow my email list, create a newsletter, and to build the sales systems that I use today to earn 6 figures per year as a solo business owner. But even though it's been great for me, I don't think it's right for everyone. And there are a few scenarios where I'd actively recommend against choosing it. So if you're researching or comparing email marketing platforms, then today I want to show you how ActiveCampaign works, how it stacks up against competitors, and I'll share some honest pros and cons to help you decide whether or not it's right for you. For transparency, I did partner with ActiveCampaign on this video, but they encouraged me to share my honest opinions, and as you'll see, I won't recommend it for everyone. Now let's start with one of the most important criteria that I look for in any email marketing platform, which is deliverability. Your deliverability measures the percentage of your emails sent that arrive in recipients' inboxes. So if an email goes to spam or it bounces, then it doesn't count as delivered. Now, prior to some updates from Yahoo and Google in 2024, your email marketing platform had a sender reputation, which would impact your deliverability. An email tool tester used to release a biannual report to measure and rank the top platforms' deliverability scores. In their latest report from January 2024, ActiveCampaign ranked number 1 and fell in the green bracket with excellent deliverability. But that 2024 update from Yahoo and Google shifted the responsibility of domain authentication from the email platforms to us, the senders. So now Email Tool Tester rates platforms based on the deliverability features they offer, and they agree that ActiveCampaign has excellent authentication support. So we're all set to maximize deliverability using ActiveCampaign. Next, let's look at the email editor. And to do that, I'm going to log into my ActiveCampaign account to show you exactly how it works. In ActiveCampaign, each email is called a campaign. So you can either start with the AI campaign builder, or for today, I'll start from scratch. Let's give our campaign a name. And I'm sending a standard email, but you can also run a split test. And later on, I'll talk about automations. So let's start off with a standard email and let's click next. Let me first add a subject line and pre-header text. And this shows up below the subject line in the inbox. Now let's create our email. And I can either start from scratch, create with AI, or I often start with a past campaign to use a layout that I've used previously. Let me briefly scroll through just to show you some examples of what my brand looks like in these auto-generated templates. And I could choose a favorite if I'd like, but I'm going to start from scratch. This does give me a few starting blocks, like suggesting a logo at the top and maybe a single column or dual column layout. But mainly what I want to show you is the content section. So you can add structures, which are layouts, as well as blocks, which have individual elements. And you can use these to build your email in the same way that you might build out a web page. Over time, you can also save modules if you have preferred favorites, and you can set global settings like the message width or the background color, which I will go ahead and change back to white. You'll notice that my brand colors are suggested here at the top, and you can add those in your account settings. Now let me make a few other edits to show you what the finished email might look like. Now that we've added a header image and some text, let me click into this text area to show you the rich text editor at the top. And you can also add personalization. So maybe at the top, I would want to say, hey, and then add someone's first name. And you can use a personalization tag to do so. You can also add additional types of blocks. So maybe I would add a button. Let me scroll down a little, just past this first sample section. And when you click on different elements, those give you adjustable settings on the side. So I can change what it says, like read full issue. I would add the URL here, and you could also style the button color and text. Just to spotlight a few other blocks, you can see the option to add spacers, link to videos, add timers, and add HTML blocks. So they do have quite a few options to build out your email. And when you're happy with how it looks, you can click next to bring you back to this main page. From here, you'll decide who should receive this email and when it should be sent. And you can also send yourself a test here to see how it looks in the inbox. This is also a good opportunity to talk about 2 of ActiveCampaign's AI agents, which are built-in tools designed to help you handle your marketing autonomously. The first one is the AI Brand Kit. So if you give ActiveCampaign your website URL, it can import your logo, fonts, and colors to create ready-to-go email templates that match your brand. The second AI agent is the AI Campaign Builder, which helps you build entire email campaigns from simple prompts, including the subject line, the content, images, and layouts. But after building any email, you'll need to decide who to send it to. And that brings us to our next core criteria, which is ease of segmentation. This asks how easy it is to create smaller groups called segments to personalize what you send. Because my hunch is that you won't want to send every email to every single one of your subscribers. Instead, maybe you want to exclude buyers from a promotion if they've already purchased that product or service. Or perhaps you want to email paying members of your community with next month's schedule of events. Now, there are two reasons why ActiveCampaign's segmentation tools are so powerful. First, it's great for contact data management. So you can use tags, which are like labels, to group like contacts together. And you can also add custom fields to your contact database. So for example, maybe you have a membership and you want to add a custom field to track members' join dates. A tag might tell you that they are an active member, but the custom field gives you personalized data that you can use in automations or future emails. For my fellow data nerds, I'll add that ActiveCampaign lets you assign a data type for each custom field, like a date or a choice from a drop-down menu. And this gives you the cleanest, most consistent data, and it also allows you to use that data to trigger automations, which isn't always possible with some competitors. Now, in addition to their excellent data management, ActiveCampaign also has one of the easiest to use segment creation tools that I've tested for two reasons. First, it's easy to create your own contact segment manually, where you decide who should be included or excluded from a group based on an extensive list of criteria, like which tags they have, their custom data, or their actions, like opening an email, clicking a link, or visiting a page on your website. But second, ActiveCampaign also has AI suggested segments to flag groups like repeat buyers, unengaged subscribers, or at-risk customers. And from there, you can use AI agents to generate personalized emails, SMS, or WhatsApp campaigns with optimized timing and offers for those subscribers. Now, since I mentioned customers, let's also very briefly talk about integrations. Because my main tip is to choose an email marketing platform that can connect to the tools in your existing tech stack. So, for example, do you use a checkout platform, a course creation platform, which might be the same tool, or maybe a webinar platform or a calendar booking tool? Those are probably the most common tools that you might want to connect, since you'll want to know which customers take certain actions, like purchasing a product or booking a call. And the good news is that ActiveCampaign is very well connected, with over 950 integrations, and it's also available on Zapier. So it likely integrates with the majority of tools used by online business owners, but it's something I would always recommend that you double check. They're also the first marketing platform in Claude's official directory, so you can connect Claude directly to your campaigns to pull performance data, update contacts, and trigger automations from chat. In fact, let's talk about one of the biggest make or break features in email marketing, which is the automation builder. Now, I test a lot of email marketing platforms, and in my experience, there are two common ways that some automation tools fall short. Either their tools are too limited, so I can't initiate the automation or build it in exactly the way that I want, or they're capable, but they're too technical for most users. But this is where ActiveCampaign has stood out for years, because their automation builder is one of the most robust that I've used, but still friendly enough for the average business owner. You can build automations based on almost any trigger, like when someone joins your list, when they click on a specific email link, when they attend a webinar, purchase a product, or even based on a date, like 30 days before an annual renewal if you wanted to send a reminder. From there, you can automate nearly any action you'd need, like sending emails, tagging contacts, updating fields, starting or ending other automations, waiting before sending follow-ups, or even taking actions in other tools, like adding or removing members from your community platform. So just to give you a quick preview, let me log in and show you what it looks like. Now, this example is an automation for buyers who purchase a mini product from me called the 7-figure product suite. And at the top, I can see what's called the trigger. So this tells me how the automation starts. And when someone has a tag added to their contact record, that's one of the most common ways you can trigger an automation. And in my case, my checkout platform could add this tag automatically. And that's how somebody could enter this automation. But there are so many start triggers you can add. You can have no trigger, you can have multiple triggers, and you can see if I just scroll through this list, just how many ways you can initiate an automation. I think this is a huge advantage for ActiveCampaign. They have more flexibility than the majority of tools that I test. So I think that that is a noteworthy and standout feature. From there, contacts move from the top to the bottom. So if you click on the plus icon, you can see options to send an email here, or to have workflow events like waiting an amount of time. If else represents a split in logic. So if they have a certain tag or information on their contact record, maybe they go to the left path, otherwise they go to the right path. If curious split is about A/B testing, this is available on some but not all ActiveCampaign paid plans, so I would check the fine print on that. Then we have the jump to action, and this used to be called goals, but this is great because sometimes you want somebody who's entered the automation to exit early. A great example is if they make a purchase. Let's say you have a 5 email sequence. They're all pitching the same product. If they purchase after email 2, I don't want to send them emails 3, 4, and 5. So the jump to action would allow them to skip to the end of the sequence and not just continuously get those pitches. And if I just zoom out a little bit, let me show you that this automation adds a tag here, sends an email, and if I clicked in, that would bring me into the campaign builder. Then we have a wait action, and then I like to have them wait until 9 a.m. just so that everyone's in my time zone, but that's a personal preference. And then we send an email, we wait, an email, we wait. And from there, it's a pretty standard sequence that, in this case, onboards people to their new mini product. I think that if I click the plus icon, the only other things to show under workflow are maybe things like the ability to start or end an automation or use a webhook to connect to other tools. You can also adjust contact info, like updating the tags on their account, adding or removing, or really updating any contact field. So between all of these options, and then there's a whole slew of deal options if you happen to use the CRM tool, I think ActiveCampaign's automation builder is really full-featured and flexible to build nearly anything that you could need for your business. And their automation builder is one of the main reasons why I picked it in 2019 and why I've stuck with it to date. But recently, they've introduced something new that changes how much of this you need to build manually yourself. It's called autonomous marketing, and it's a fully AI-driven approach to not just the basics like drafting emails, but to actually having intelligent AI agents build and automate your marketing independently. So while traditional automation requires you to build every workflow manually, autonomous marketing lets you define a goal in plain language, and AI handles the execution and optimization. For example, with this prompt, you could change multiple wait times in a single automation with just one request. AI agents will also adapt to things like changes in customer behavior in real time without the need for human intervention. And it can execute complex workflows and consolidate everything into one streamlined system so you can have a single source of truth. Now, to be clear, you can still build everything manually if you'd like. And for a lot of creators, that might still be how you get started. But having this layer and focus on autonomous marketing is one way that ActiveCampaign feels a bit more future-proof compared to other tools right now. And I think the other big way that its AI engine can help you build your business is through reporting and analytics. They call that engine Active Intelligence, and you can think of it as your AI-powered marketing strategist, and it analyzes billions of data points and subscriber interactions to help guide your marketing decisions. For example, this prompt shows how you can aggregate performance over multiple emails, called campaigns, over the last month to compare key metrics. Or with this prompt, you can dive a bit deeper to ask about purchase behaviors or enrollment trends. To be clear, your specific customer information and campaigns are never shared with anyone else, but you do have the benefit of Active Intelligence comparing your data against aggregated patterns across their platform, so they can flag where campaigns are performing better or worse than the average benchmark. You also have more classic reporting features, which show things like email performance, contact trends, automation reports, or deal reports. So here's an example from my own recent email where you can see analytics from the first issue of Solo Signals, which is my new newsletter for solo business owners. There are plenty of additional campaign insights that I could explore in the side menu, but here you can see that I have a healthy open rate, but a low click rate. And actually, if I go back to my main campaigns dashboard, I can see an Active Intelligence insight at the top, which calls it a click crisis, and I'll open the insight to show you what that looks like. And I could start a conversation from here if needed, but here's why I bring that up. I know that this email was designed to be read in the inbox, and that the links were all just minor supporting rules. So in this particular case, I know that the low click rate isn't a problem because the email wasn't designed for clicks. It was a report called the attention saturation, And I shared 3 signals that I've noticed for solo business owners that may explain why your views feel lower or why competition may have felt more intense lately. As a brief aside, you're welcome to read it for free by visiting solosignals.co, and I'll leave a link for that in the description. But I pointed out because I know to ignore this insight. Though if this were a sales email or a registration email, then that kind of click rate would be concerning, so I don't mind that Active Intelligence has surfaced that insight. I also mentioned deal reports, so let's briefly talk about another add-on feature in ActiveCampaign, which is its built-in CRM tool. This tool gives you a deal pipeline to manage contacts through a more traditional sales process, usually from an initial inquiry or application through booking a call and hopefully a purchase. Now, whether or not you actually need a CRM is an important decision point. So here's a simple way you might think about it. If you don't usually get into conversation with prospects, perhaps for lower ticket mini products or memberships, then you likely don't need a CRM tool. I think a simpler system using tags, segments, and automations can usually be enough. But on the other hand, if you're selling higher ticket offers, often one-on-ones, that might be through applications or sales calls, then a CRM pipeline tool can help you track leads, manage follow-ups, and keep everything organized, though you don't necessarily need ActiveCampaign's paid add-on to do so. Instead, you might use your client management platform or even a task management tool with a Kanban view, or maybe you'd choose a third-party CRM tool if needed. But unless you currently have a high volume of prospects, or if you know that it's something you'd like to grow into in the future, perhaps with an agency model, then you likely don't need this add-on, nor do you need to consider CRM functionality in your email marketing platform decision at all. Now, on the topic of contact management, I do want to briefly mention one of my favorite small unsung features in ActiveCampaign, which is its Chrome or Brave plugin. Once installed, it lets me see and manage contact data directly from Gmail as a sidebar. And my team and I use it all the time to reference or update contact info while we're in conversations. While it's not a make or break feature, it is one of my personal favorites, so I just wanted to give it a quick shout out. I also want to talk about the landing page builder because while this is a make or break feature for some business owners, it isn't a tool that I personally use, so let me explain why. I'll first define a landing page as a web page that is intentionally optimized towards a single call to action. And in the world of email marketing, we're usually talking about email opt-in pages for things like newsletters, lead magnets, webinars, or waitlists. Now, there are 3 tools that you could use to build those landing pages. First, you can use your email marketing platform. And ActiveCampaign does have a landing page builder, which I think is perfectly fine, but I don't use it because I prefer option 2, which is building landing pages directly on your website. So my website happens to be built with WordPress, but you can do the same on Squarespace, Showit, Wix, Webflow, or any other major platform. Now, I like this approach because it keeps all of my web pages under one domain with consistent branding and ease of analytics, and all I have to do is embed an email opt-in form on this page to collect email addresses. And you can create that directly within ActiveCampaign, or I happen to use a third-party tool called ConvertBox, which I'll link in the description. The third option is to use a specialized landing page tool, but I don't think you need that extra expense unless your business is maybe of a certain size and optimization has become a business priority for you to increase sales conversion. But for the majority of solo business owners, I would recommend building landing pages with either your email marketing platform or your website platform. They're both great, it's up to you, but you only need to evaluate the landing page features in an email marketing platform if you plan to use it. So if that's you, I would recommend building a test page during your trial window on any platform to see if the builder and the analytics provided suit you. Now, if you're comparing ActiveCampaign against competitors, I want to address their pricing because it is on the higher end for email marketing platforms for solo business owners. And you can see their current pricing by visiting witandwire.com/ActiveCampaign. The main takeaway I would share is that ActiveCampaign is a platform I'm confident you wouldn't outgrow, and I think its price point reflects the wider breadth of features and time-saving autonomous marketing tools that it provides. That said, if all you need are the basics, like the tools to send a weekly newsletter, then ActiveCampaign is probably overkill, and you would be overpaying for a suite of tools that you wouldn't use. Similarly, I wouldn't historically recommend it for a total tech beginner, though maybe as autonomous marketing grows, my opinion might change. But generally, I would only recommend ActiveCampaign if you have a baseline comfort with technology and with learning new tools. Now let's compare ActiveCampaign against some of its most well-known competitors, starting with ActiveCampaign versus Kit. Now, Kit is actually the most popular email marketing platform among Wit Wire community members. And I actually think it's the best all-around choice for most solo business owners because it's a little simpler than ActiveCampaign. It's easy to use, it's beginner-friendly, and it covers the core features that most business owners need, like sending emails, tagging subscribers, and building basic automations. But the trade-off for that simplicity is limitation. And in particular, they lack the breadth of automation triggers and actions you'll find in ActiveCampaign, and they don't currently have any native AI features to ease your workflow, though that's subject to change, and their reporting can feel a bit limiting depending on what you're looking for. But one area where Kit outshines ActiveCampaign is through its creator network, which allows you to cross-promote your newsletter with other creators. But overall, I would say that Kit and ActiveCampaign are both great choices for online business owners. It likely just comes down to how advanced your automation needs are or how much you value autonomous marketing. Next, let's compare ActiveCampaign versus Mailchimp. Now, Mailchimp became famous for their very generous free plan, which included up to 2,000 subscribers before 2019. But today, that free plan is limited to 250 subscribers, and more crucially, it doesn't include the ability to build any automations. For me, that's a deal breaker feature because the number one way I've built my list is through lead magnets, like the ones you'll find in this video's description. And while yes, you can upgrade to a paid plan to unlock automations, I don't think their builder is nearly as good as ActiveCampaign's, nor do they currently have any AI automation support. I'll add that if you're happy with Mailchimp, then I see no reason to switch. I think you would know if you needed to make a change because there would be a specific feature that repeatedly felt lacking to you, in which case you would know what to research if you needed to migrate. But I think for most users, ActiveCampaign will outrank Mailchimp in most categories. Next, let's compare ActiveCampaign versus Substack. And while they both let you send emails, I would say these two are pretty fundamentally different. So Substack is for newsletter operators who might want to offer free and maybe paid tiers to subscribers. And Substack also does have a feed-based app that mimics social media. So in that way, Substack helps users with discoverability far more than the average email marketing platform. But Substack lacks segmentation and automation. You can't create tags or custom fields the way that you can with most standard email tools, and that limits the types of emails that you can send. Plus, to my knowledge, the only automation you can build is a basic welcome sequence. So for example, you wouldn't be able to build an automation to deliver a lead magnet or to welcome paid students to a course. So I would really see Substack as a newsletter platform, but not as a full email marketing platform. On a related note, I want to compare ActiveCampaign versus Kajabi, though they are two different types of platforms. Kajabi is an all-in-one online business platform. So you can use it to build your whole website, create emails and automations, and to sell courses, memberships, services, and digital products. On the other hand, ActiveCampaign is a specialist platform, so it's just focused on email marketing and automation. Now, I think Kajabi is a great choice for either beginners or for anyone who just prefers the simplicity of keeping everything managed in one place. And its email marketing tools cover the basics, and they did recently start improving their automation builder, which is great, and it now goes beyond just building simple email sequences. That said, an all-in-one platform can feel limiting, and to some, it can feel like a jack-of-all-trades, master-of-none scenario. So rather than comparing ActiveCampaign versus Kajabi, I would actually ask yourself if you want an all-in-one platform as the hub of your business, or if you would prefer to choose specialists. And that answer will help you dictate the type of platform or platforms that you'll choose. By the way, I do have a full Kajabi tutorial you'll find linked in the description, along with a ton of other resources that we've mentioned today. Now, here's how I would sum up my final recommendations on ActiveCampaign. I think ActiveCampaign has long had the best email automation tools, and with the introduction of autonomous marketing, they continue to stay ahead. It's a tool you won't outgrow, and it has a lot of features that other platforms lack. But if you don't plan to use those tools, or if you don't have a baseline comfort with tech, then ActiveCampaign may not be right for you. And you might be better suited choosing a more beginner-friendly option or even a slightly different type of tool entirely, like a newsletter platform or an all-in-one business platform. But if you aren't interested in testing it out, you can visit witnwire.com/ActiveCampaign to start a free trial, and you can check out the current pricing and read about any recent feature updates. By the way, if you found this video helpful, I hope you'll leave me a comment, Like and subscribe to Wit Wire for more solo business tutorials. And I also recommend our free newsletter, Solo Signals, where each issue focuses on one specific shift or trend in the online business industry, supported by signals and stories from our community of solopreneurs. You can subscribe for free at solosignals.co. And up next, here's another video I think you might enjoy.